First of all, welcome to the channel and thank you for stopping by. When time permits, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm here with the Moto Photo Adventure guys, and between four grown men and I would say fairly accomplished travelers, the best we can determine is we may or may not be on the Cabot Trail. But if we're not, we are very close. But this is 1,092 miles and 19 hours and change from my door. So we're going to call this the beginning of the adventure. And this previous time was just the commute. And if we find a sign 5 miles up the road, 3 kilometers up the road, that says welcome to the Cabot Trail, we're just going to ignore it and not include it. So let's go see what the Cabot Trail is like.
They can charge you anything they want. Ain't that the case?
Yep.
So Steve, you have the impressive camera. Why are you looking at the toy?
Makes my hands look big.
Excellent answer.
An anvil makes your hands look big. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, as near as we can tell, we are on the Cabot Trail. The Cabot Strait is right over there through the trees. We've seen at least 2 signs that say Cabot Trail, and they no longer say certain numbers of miles ahead, so this is it. I hadn't done very much reading on this. I hadn't heard of it, but this is supposed to be a beautiful scenic ride. Hoping so. And with this part of Canada, it's going to be scenic. They don't appear to put the road very close to the ocean here in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick. So I believe a lot of it is going to be the scenic forests, the beautiful mountains in the distance, and less right along the ocean like I was hoping for. But that's fine. If you head over to Moto Photo Adventures, you will see our lunch with Clarice, the bike packer. Very lovely young travel nurse who is putting in a lot of effort to bike the Cabot Trail. Wish her the best. Yeah, I don't know if you can see the GPS or not, but we are not really that close to the water. Well, it's scenic nonetheless. We are heading for a first come, first served campsite. This will be the 4th campsite of the trip. The previous 3 have not been the first choice. So it will be interesting to see if tonight's the first night where we show up and make it to the planned campsite and stay there. If not, every campsite we've got has been great. So having to fall back to a second option, not really been an issue. Though I believe this one is on the ocean, which is my personal favorite. So fingers crossed that we are going to be able to get this one as our first choice. Okay, pick you up later.
So we were way back there. I don't know if you can see it. And Chris brought us up here. We sat here for about 5 minutes and the Harley guys just blew past us. Every good idea is one-upped. Now, this right here is exactly what I pictured when I read the little bit I did about the Cabot Trail. A oceanside road with gorgeous views of the water. This is the first time it's truly opened up. And this was the first time I was truly, wow, I am so grateful I'm on the Cabot Trail versus, say, being in Maine. The road is winding in and out. There's a great view of the ocean. The breeze is blowing. The temperature is perfect. Just look at those blue skies. This is absolutely amazing. Up until now, Chris has really been on a mission, and his mission was to get to the Cabot Trail. And right ahead is going to be the first time we truly stop to enjoy the view. Thanks, Chris. This was an absolute great stop. Okay, I'm going to be honest here. So far, this trip through eastern Canada, New Brunswick, into Nova Scotia, it looks remarkably like the northeastern United States, Maine specifically, a lot of other things. It's not a lot of variety in the trees. Haven't seen a moose, haven't seen anything that you wouldn't see in Maine. And that kind of makes it less appealing. Riding with guys, having a good time, you know, it's great and all, but there's been nothing that said, I'm glad I'm here. Up until now, I've only been saying, I'm glad I'm on vacation. I'm glad I'm on a ride. I'm glad I'm with good people. But then as we're coming up, we passed a sign that said top of the island. And I'm thinking, there's got to be a lookout or something, right? I mean, it's worth putting a sign, top of the island. And that's where we are right now. This is beautiful. I'm not going to say it's unique. I've been on things exactly like this, beaches like this, rocks like this before, but it is definitely beautiful. It's great to be here. And finally, something gorgeous. Everything's just been forest, a nice road, a nice view of the Atlantic. Nothing just gorgeous, but this right here is gorgeous. I'm 1,100 and change miles into this trip, and it took until now to see a vista like this, where I'm just so glad to be right here. So grateful to be in this spot, experiencing this moment. The sun is shining, the wind is blowing, I can hear the ocean, and I can see these gorgeous, gorgeous rocks. I am very happy to be here in this moment.
All right, we just got some beautiful footage of the gorgeous overlook here. Huge rocks, beautiful ocean, sunny day, and Chris is setting up their drone shot. Can't say it enough. There is a lot of work that goes into a moto photo production. And when it comes to the drone, it appears to be all Chris. So every drone shot requires quite a bit of his time in planning and execution. Moto photo drone shots. I really can't get their jingle out of my head.
Okay, it appears that as soon as you get to the top of the island, the road just turns in, and now we have coastal riding. It's been fantastic. We're going to pull off up here and take a look at a lighthouse. I stopped in for some ice cream, but there were a lot of tourists around. It wasn't particularly scenic, and the lighthouse was tiny. Check out Moto Photo Adventures. I do believe Chris had the drone up, and I'm sure the guys got some footage. Now, when you have the opportunity, please go over to Moto Photo Adventures on any one of their videos and go, hey Steve, what happened to you at the lighthouse? It's worth asking, trust me.
I actually haven't seen a tall lighthouse in Canada, just mostly very short ones. And this one had been converted into an ice cream shop, which was quite good. I'll see if I can throw a picture up here. Ah, man, what to say about today? Today is the very best day for riding. The weather is between 65 and 71, depending on where we are. The sun has been shining until like a minute ago, all day long. Not a drop of rain, just fantastic. But if you look up ahead of me, you're going to see traffic. The Cabot Trail, from what I saw on YouTube and what I read, was a scenic trip around the island. But honestly, it's forest. I mean, there are some beautiful openings where you can stop and see the ocean, but I don't consider that a beautiful ride. I consider that a ride with beautiful stops. Rarely are we seeing, at least in this first half, much of the ocean. It's just trees. Not even tall trees, and mountains, but not very high mountains. I gotta say, it's just a little bit disappointing. Maybe the YouTubers were all on the other side of the island and tomorrow's going to be amazing beyond words, but for the most part, we're doing below the speed limit, following cars. Chris is doing an admirable job getting around whenever we can, but then you just run into more cars. It's obviously the Cabot Trail. People are taking in cars as well. There's a lot of traffic here. I think it's the 17th of August. So 1,100 miles to drive around if you're not going with friends, if you're not going to have great conversations, if you're not going to have good people to camp with. I don't think it's worth it. I may eat my words tomorrow, but as of right now, having done almost half of it, I'm going to say it's not that scenic. You know, you can stop and see some scenic spots, but the ride itself, this is it right here. Hey, look, some rocks and some trees. And I mean, you can get this anywhere. You can get this absolutely anywhere. The roads aren't particularly curvy for the most part. There's a couple spots, but you're not going to be out here doing spirited riding. You're going to be behind endless tourists. I don't mean to sound negative. I really don't. I'm having a really good time. I just feel that I'm having a really good time with the people I'm with. And if we had ridden around Maine, or if we had ridden around New Brunswick, it would have been at least as good. I mean, when we were in the Bay of Fundy, the views were far superior. The twisties were far superior to anything I've seen on this first half of the Cabot Trail. So, we are, I think, a half hour away from where we're stopping. And I will pick you up there. Of course, that's a half hour doing the speed limit according to Google, and we haven't hit the speed limit in a long, long time.
All right, I hope you can see that view behind me. While the beach view is the best so far, the angle is less than ideal. We have this small area with Steve and Chris on it, and that's fairly level. But here is Jason and myself. So I'm just going to hold the camera level, and hopefully you can get an idea of how not level that is. We're hoping not to roll down the hill onto those people. So I am just making myself dinner. Gonna have some roast beef. The only food here is seafood of the shellfish variety, which I am not interested in. So roast beef it is. Okay, for some reason, the Moto Photo Adventures Camp has moved down the hill. We only have one single tent left, and it's Steve's tent. All right, take care.